Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody else, this is John Paval with the Access Arts Live weekly roundup of big stage productions. That is for the week of September 15th to September 22nd. Yes, we are already on the border of the official beginning of the fall. And the symphonic, the orchestral works are starting to flow in from all points around the globe. We are going to have, there's a lot that I'm going to need to get through here today because there's so much going on. So I'm going to have to be brief about some of these descriptions. We have live streams from New Zealand to Bergen, Norway, to Tomsk in Siberia, points in between. We've got Mahler, Dvořák, Shostakovich, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, Brahms, Rossini, Mozart, and that's not all. There's more than that. And what can I say? It's a great lineup for this week, and so I hope you're up for hearing about all of it. Now, before I go any further, let me remind you, I always have to remind you of this. If you're watching this on Facebook, please like the video. If you're watching on any of our other platforms, please follow us and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, or LinkedIn, or sometimes even on Rumble, where we're trying to get started. To help us build up the algorithm, so maybe one day I can start monetizing just a little bit for the full-time work. I'm doing about 80 hours a week finding all of this for you and downloading the information and packaging it and then doing these live streams. So that's what we would love to see happen. So hopefully that will be happening in the very near future. Okay, having said that, let me also remind you that there are a number of orchestral live streams going on this week, which will not be fully covered in this report because I covered them earlier today in a special edition on the UNESCO Music Festival. So I will mention them on the appropriate day, but you'll need to go to that special edition to get the details. Those are all free live streams, and the UNESCO Music Festival, it's quality. It's great stuff going on. But let us move on right away to the first of this week's big stage production live streams. Tuesday night, September 16th, on the West Coast in the U.S., you can enjoy the New Zealand Symphony's Wednesday evening concert of emerging young artists, playing Mendelssohn, Strauss, Mozart, Dvořák, and a lot more. That's going to be at It's down under in New Zealand. It's at 6:30 in the evening, which means that it'll be 8:30 in the morning here in Europe, 2:30 in the morning on the East Coast Tuesday night, 11:30 p.m. Tuesday night on the West Coast in the U.S. But it will be taking place in the morning here in Europe and in the evening in New Zealand on Wednesday. So, and I'm sure I've completely confused that. These are emerging young artists. I'm mentioning this to you because they will be doing more live streams coming up starting in October. They're getting active, and it's a good symphony, and they have interesting programs, which you'll be hearing about as time goes by. I think they want you to subscribe for 1 month, which is like $5.50 to subscribe, which is really nothing because in the month of October, I already know they're doing several live streams and you can cancel at any time. So I encourage you to check it out. This is not, these are emerging up and coming artists. So they'll be playing individual movements from different pieces by Strauss and Mendelssohn, etc. Chance for you to hear lots of different kinds of music rather than the full formality of less different kinds of music. Okay, well, now I want to mention to you at the same time, otherwise on Tuesday, as we've explained in the special edition on the UNESCO Music Festival, The very interesting conductor Christian Reif, or Reif, is leading the Romanian Youth Orchestra, more emerging artist, you can say, in Beethoven's Ninth, and in a Grieg's piano concerto with the pianist Simon Tchaikovsky on the keyboards, and that should be interesting. I really like Christian Reif as a conductor, but go to the AEST special edition to find out more about that. That's at 7 in the evening here in Europe on Tuesday. Okay, let's move on then to the next concert, which is with the State Symphony in Russia, one of the oldest symphony orchestras in Russia. And I want to highlight just a couple of the artists for you. In particular, it's, well, I'll explain to you why in just a moment here. That's there are two sopranos, a mezzo and a soprano involved here. There they are. There are the two of them. Thursday, September 18th, the State Symphony of Russia performs Mahler's Resurrection Symphony, Symphony number 2 for soprano, contralto, and orchestra, with top Russian sopranos Maria Barakova and Albina Shagimuratova on board. That'll be at 6 in the evening in Europe, noon, lunchtime on the East Coast, and 9 in the morning, breakfast time on the West Coast, 7 o'clock Moscow time. This is taking place at the Moscow Philharmonic and live streamed on their page, and may also be live streamed on their YouTube page. We'll give you both links. Last week they did 2 concerts, which they put on their YouTube page, which they had not always been doing before. So we're very happy about that. That State Symphony of Orchestra of Russia has been around since 1936. They premiered Prokofiev's Symphony number 5. Okay, they premiered Shostakovich's Symphonies number 8 and 11, and his Concerto number 2 for cello in orchestra. The conductor is Philip Chizevsky. I don't have time to tell you all about him, but I want to tell you about the 2 singers. The first one I want to tell you about is the one with the bigger picture there, Maria Barakova. She's a mezzo. She's a busy singer. Just on Sunday, she was at the AEST Festival singing the role of Sonyetka in Shostakovich's Lady Macbeth, alongside Christine Opole, who played who sang Katerina Lvovna. Barakovna, typical Russian beginnings, Ganeshin Russian Academy, youth opera program of the Bolshoi, and then starting in 2021, her career just takes off with debuts at the New York Met, at the Teatro alla Scala, at the Vienna State Opera, where she has sung in a full production the Lady Macbeth, Shostakovich's Lady Macbeth, in that same role of Sonyetka. Then the Deutsche Oper in Berlin, etc., etc. She sung at places like the Théâtre des Champs-Élysées in Paris, the Konzerthaus in Dortmund, oh yeah, she went on a tour with Yannick Nézet-Séguin doing a concert version of Das Rheingold, in which she sang the role of Floshilde at the Théâtre des Champs-Élysées, the Konzerthaus in Dortmund, Baden-Baden, Rotterdam, etc. And she also sang the role of Sigrun in Die Valkyrie in that same tour. So I think she'll be good to hear. And the other singer is an older singer, Albina Shagimuratova. She had her European debut back in 2008 after typical Russian training like Barakova at the Salzburg Festival, playing the Queen of the Night in Mozart's The Magic Flute. And then she played it everywhere. She played it at the New York Met, at La Scala, Covent Garden, et cetera, et cetera. It became her signature piece. Then in 2015, she played for the first time at the Mariinsky Theater in St. Petersburg in the title role in Lucia dell'Amore of Donizetti, and became a soloist there, and she's happily ensconced there. So I think that'll be a good, exciting concert. If you like Mahler. What can I say? I mean, people who like Mahler, they really love Mahler, and people who don't like Mahler, well, they really don't like Mahler all that much. So that will be what it is. I'm sorry, I have a little bit of a cold, so you may hear me sniffling a little bit. I can't help it. It's it's inevitable. It's unchangeable. So what do we have up for you next, John? That's right. Do I have a photo for the next piece? I do, because we have a lovely violinist. There are two violinists this week, two top violinists this week in the concert programs. Thursday, September 18th, Dinis Sousa leads the Bergen Philharmonic in works by composer in residence Urian Matre, Bartok, and Dvořák's Violin Concerto, played by the artist in residence, Isabelle Faust. So, they're putting together the composer in residence and artist in residence in one concert. I think it's their second concert of the season. They had their opening concert last week. These are early in the day, Scandinavian style. 7:25 in the evening in Europe, 1:25 in the afternoon on the East Coast, and 10:25 in the morning on the West Coast. Dinis Sousa, he's a Portuguese director. They know him at Gulbenkian and places like that. He's the music director of the Royal Northern Sinfonia. Isabelle Faust, their artist in residence, she so they like her a lot. She recorded this piece with the Prague Philharmonic for Harmonia Mundi back in 2023. If you go look at her Harmonia Mundi page, it tells you everything you need to know about her. It is just filled with lots of Bach, like any Bach you can come up with, challenging stuff, and lots of Bartok, So she doesn't go the easy way. So they'll start out doing Urian Matre's piece called Presage. And it was inspired by Stravinsky's Rite of Spring, we're told, and he steals music from it. Then they'll do the Dvořák Violin Concerto with Isabelle Faust, and then they'll do Bartok's Concerto for Orchestra, which was composed back in the early 1940s when Bartok was living in exile in the United States. He thought he was finished, and then Serge Koussevitzky, the famous conductor, etc., and musical leader, commissioned him to write something, and he sat down and, like a few weeks' time, came up with his concerto for orchestra. And this concerto was recorded by the Bergen Phil about 7-8 years ago to great praise. Well, I don't know, it's not exactly the same orchestra anymore, but they know how to play this piece in Bergen. So at the same time, now everything we've told you about so far is free of charge, but we do have a couple of concerts this week that are not free of charge. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles this week, as Stage Plus and the Berlin Phil are coming back online, providing you with entertainment, let us say. And the first of these live streams, I think, yeah, it's the LSL. And there they are. Thursday, Stage Plus live streams the London Symphony Orchestra and conductor Antonio Pappano, hosting Korean pianist Seong-Jin Cho, playing a Prokofiev concerto and adding a Shostakovich symphony and Beethoven's Fifth. Heavy, heavy, heavy. Thursday, September 18th. That'll be at 8 o'clock in the evening, so it'll be after the, it's a little bit later than the Bergen Phil, which is free of charge. This one will cost you €9.90 on the Stage Plus website. It's Shostakovich's Symphony No. 9 in E-flat major, Opus 70, Prokofiev's Piano Concerto No. 2 in G minor, Opus 16, and Beethoven's Symphony No. 5 in C minor, Opus 67. If you want to hear some heavyweight music by a top symphony, a top composer, and a rising star pianist, there you go. And we move on to Friday's offerings, where we will have several offerings to tell you about. Yeah, the first of which is going to bring in this violinist here. Friday, September 19th, the Sao Paulo Symphony hosts top violinist Veronica Eberle playing Hartmann and also plays works by Manuel Diaz de Oliveira and Tchaikovsky to boot, live streamed free of charge on their YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure about the time of this, but I'm not perfectly sure. It's very hard for me to figure out exactly when OSESP is live streaming and not, because if you go to their website and you look at the concert listings, there's nothing written on them as to which one is being live streamed, and they're doing this one Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at different times. Anyway, I have them doing it as 2:30 in the afternoon on Friday. They have these 2:30 concerts, which is 1:30 on the East Coast and 10:30 in the morning on the West Coast, and a lovely 7:30 in the evening here in Europe. Or it could be on Saturday at 4:30 their time. Double check it if you really want to hear this. They're doing a Magnificat by Manuel Diaz de Oliveira. He's a composer from the Brazilian colonial period, which is a distinct musical period for this culture. Then they'll do, and I should mention, they have, since it's a Magnificat, it involves singing, and they have their in-house soloist and chorus in on this. Then they will do the Funeral Concerto, which is a violin concerto by Carl Amadeus Hartmann. And that's played by the woman you see there, Veronica Eberle. And her claim to fame began 20 years ago at the Salzburg Easter Festival. Simon Rattle brought her in to play a solo with the orchestra when she was only 16 years old. So look, she's still very young, you know, but she's been playing for a long time already. That's like 18 years. That's a generation. Anyway, if you want to know how good she is, well, she was the Wigmore Hall Artist in Residence in this last year, 2024 and 2025. Since Wigmore Hall is like, well, the British consider it the greatest chamber concert hall in the world, and I think everybody considers it one of the greatest. You know, she's got to be good. I will not read you the whole riot act of her list of credits, but I will tell you that I think she's got a special interest in playing this Funeral Concerto because she's going to be playing it again in Munich with a chamber orchestra on Sunday, October 26th, in about a month, a little over a month from now. But as far as I know, that will not be live streamed. This will. And then after that, they will do Tchaikovsky's Symphony No. 4 in F minor, Opus 36, which is a great symphony, conducted by their in-house guy, Thierry Fischer, who always knows what he's doing with this orchestra. He knows it inside out, and he knows what he's doing with the music. So check it out. But there are other things that you can attend to on Friday if you're interested. There's a new conductor coming in Stuttgart, I believe it is, and you have a chance to see what he does to make it shine. The new conductor of the Stuttgart SWR Symphony, Francois Xavier Roth, conducts the orchestra in two works you may not know by Jean-Ferry Rebel and Luciano Berri, and a work you probably do know, Schubert's Great Symphony. That will be at 8 o'clock, the standard 8 o'clock in the evening time, 2 o'clock on the East Coast, 11 in the morning on the West Coast. This is his inaugural concert as chief conductor of the SWR Symphony Orchestra. The piece by Jean-Ferry Rebel is one I don't know. It's called Les Éléments, Symphonie Nouvelle, The Elements, a New Symphony. The piece by Luciano Berio is a sinfonia for 8 voices and orchestra, which will have members of the SWR vocal ensemble singing it. And then the Schubert piece, the Great Symphony, that's Symphony No. 8, C major. This comes from the Liederhalle in Stuttgart. Xavier Roth, French origin, born in Paris, 1971. He was originally a flautist before switching to conducting. Went to the Paris Conservatory, as that. He was the chief conductor of the SWR Symphony Orchestra, Baden-Baden and Freiburg back at the beginning of the teens. Then in 2015, until about a year ago, he was the music director of the city of Cologne. And he was the Gürzenich Kapellmeister there, where he founded a period ensemble group called Les Siècles, which has had a lot of success. He's been a principal guest conductor of the London Symphony Orchestra since 2017, and he's guest conducted with the Berlin and the Munich Phil, the Bavarian Radio Phil, the San Francisco, Cleveland, Boston, etc. He has been made a Chevalier of the Legion of Honor in France. That's how much they love this French conductor. Free of charge. Now, there's one more concert on Friday, which is not free of charge, coming to you from, I think, from Berlin. Do I have a picture here for you to show you? I'm not sure I have a photograph for that concert. No, actually, I did not get one downloaded. So we'll remove that. It's interesting to see that people check in and to watch the live stream and then check out sometimes. I'm always happy when I see them pop up and the numbers go up, and then I'm sad when the numbers go down. Anyway, here's this. Yeah, it is the Berlin Phil. Friday, conductor Kirill Petrenko, September 19th, brings in expert oboist Albrecht Meyer in a program including Zimmermann's Oboe Concerto, Brahms' Symphony No. 1, live streamed on the Berlin Phil's own website. That will cost you €9.90, which is, Stage Plus and the Berlin Phil both charge that amount. It's at 8 o'clock in the evening, European time, 2 o'clock on the East Coast, 11 o'clock on the West Coast. They'll be doing Zimmermann's Concerto for Oboe and Small Orchestra. That's where Albrecht Meyer comes in on the oboe. And then they will do Brahms' Symphony No. 1 in C minor. A lovely little concert, not free of charge. But also on Friday at 6:30 in the evening, you have the opportunity to see Christian Macellaro conducting the National Orchestra of France in a concert of a Rhapsody by Enescu, the Gershwin Piano Concerto, and some Ravel. And the Gershwin Piano Concerto will be played by Rudolf Buchbinder, the guy who specializes actually more in playing Beethoven. Anyway, that's on Friday at 6:30 in the evening. For more information, check out our special edition that we put out earlier today on all of the concerts live stream that we could find from the Enescu Music Festival this week. And we then move on to Sunday, the last two concerts that we have to tell you about. And I'm happy to say that we have kept the time reasonably under control, given the fact that there's so much to talk about this week. So I think the first concert that we have to tell you about, it's this guy. I really like this guy. This is Igor Berendeyev. He's the chief conductor of the Tomsk Philharmonic. And what I like about him is he's always looking to take on a challenge. I don't know that necessarily this concert is one, but it's an unusual concert. So I think it's worth taking seriously. And if the timing works for you, the problem with some of these Tomsk Philharmonic concerts is if it's 7 in the evening in Siberia. Well, it's very early in the morning in the U.S. I mean, it's already mid-afternoon. It's already early afternoon here in Europe. Sunday, September 21st, in-house conductor of the Tomsk Philharmonic, Igor Berendeyev, leads the orchestra in instrumental works originally written for chamber orchestras rather than full symphonies by Rossini, Mendelssohn, and Mozart. That'll be at noon here in Europe, 6 in the morning on the East Coast, late night if you're up late on Saturday night, 3 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast, late Saturday night, 8 o'clock in the evening down under in Australia, Sunday evening. So it's perfect for our Australian followers, all you millions. And that'll be at 6 o'clock in the evening, Krat time, which is Siberia. these pieces are Rossini, when he was very young, before he became a great operatic composer, he wrote 6 instrumental sonatas for string orchestra when he was 12 years old. They're going to play them. Then they'll do Mendelssohn's Symphony for strings, which is for a small string ensemble, and some divertimentos composed by Mozart. Again, not for a full-size orchestra. I don't know if they will have the full-size orchestra or whether they'll be cutting it down to the size envisioned by these composers. I would imagine it would be the latter. But bravo, I say bravo to Berendeyev. Again, an interesting concept. Let's find some of these pre-symphonic works, but still orchestral ensembles by some of these very well-known composers, but pieces which may not be very well known to you. And finally, I want to mention at also, though, on Sunday, since I do have time to bring it up for you, although I will not have a photo to go with that. At that same, on Sunday evening, Klaus Mekele, the Finnish conductor, leads the Royal Concertgebouw in a concert of a Rhapsody by Enescu, another Enescu Rhapsody. There was an early one on Friday that was played by Macellaro and Buchbinder. Well, not Buchbinder in it, but in the concert Macellaro conducted. Then the Saint-Saëns Piano Concerto No. 5, played by Jean-Yves Thibaudet, and then Stravinsky's Sacre du Printemps, that piece which started a riot in Paris, first time it was played back in in the teens or something like that. Anyway, I mentioned it because Klaus Mekele is one of the hottest conductors around, and he's going to be taking over the Concertgebouw Orchestra. But check out the bit that we did about this concert and Klaus Mekele in the Enescu Music Festival live stream, because he's a terribly interesting guy, and he's a conductor whom, if you don't know, you get a chance to discover. I'm telling you, if you subscribe to or follow Access Arts Live, you get exposure to all these top people around the world. There's this whole wave of women conductors that they've all been live streamed in the last year, and you'd be familiar with them and with their conducting style and the choices they make of music, like Tabitha Berglund, who's a chief guest conductor at the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, or Joanna Malwitz, who's the AD and chief conductor at the Berlin Concerthouse Orchestra, et cetera, et cetera. So much going on, and you'll have it all, almost, and most of it free of charge. All you have to do is, if you're watching this on Facebook, like the video. If you're watching this on our other platforms, please follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live. Do yourself a favor. We're on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, LinkedIn, and we're trying to be on Rumble, but I'm not sure how well that's working out. Anyway, I will say ciao for now. I will be back tomorrow with the weekly roundup of organ recitals and with the weekly roundup of chamber music. And then I'll be on a plane on Wednesday back to Paris. Well, I will continue doing everything that I do while I'm here in Stockholm. I'll just get to do it while I'm in Paris, France. Have a